So having said that, Dr. Tench, I was hoping to hear from Dr. Tench. And it's interesting. I told my kids that I was doing this forum, and as you might suspect, their response was, "Oh, Mom, you're so extra. You're so over the top. You're worried about nothing." So help me out, Dr. Tench. Is this much to do about nothing, or should parents be concerned?
Parents should definitely be concerned.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to run through the science in a little bit of time, okay? But you we'll be able to do questions at the end.
Yes. Yes.
So for marijuana, for the most part, is the most commonly used psychoactive substance in the U.S. right now. So very popular, very popular. But it is not the substance back in the 70s that was so mild. Right now, it's increased 6 to 7 fold in how strong what you have now. So the marijuana you see now is not the marijuana you saw in the 70s. Definitely very much stronger. So as far as the active ingredient, they call everything marijuana. The active ingredient is cannabis. It is a plant in its natural form, but it has been processed to so many different things. There's dried leaves, there's oils that they pull out of it, there's concentrates. So how it works, as far as the body, for our body, there's receptors in our body, cells that whatever chemical goes in, goes and sits on that receptors and gives it the effect. So for it named after the plant, the cannabis. So the endocannabinoid system is where cannabis goes in, sits on those receptors, gives an effect. So there are two receptors, most common, CB1, CB2. They're going to affect a lot of things. Central nervous system, your brain, your spinal cord, your heart muscles, fat cells, which are throughout your body, blood cells, smooth muscle cells in your heart. So this is affecting many, many organs. So yeah, this is just not a benign chemical, not causing any problems. So the two most common forms, it can exist in so many different forms, hundreds of forms. Two most common that you see a lot are going to be your CBD and your THC. So those are the two I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about today. The CBD weakly affects those receptors. So you're not going to see as much of the intoxicating effect. So unfortunately, that is being sold all kinds of places because it's not considered to be intoxicating, still affecting all those organs though. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing it all freely on the TV available, freely on the internet available. So for THC, that is the one that is going to be more intoxicating, impairs learning, memory, spatial orientation, or where your body is in space, so you're unbalanced, your attention, and then your heart, physiological function of the organs. So for now, it depends on how it's taken in. This can be taken in so many different ways. Can be ingested, can be smoked, can be inhaled in vapors. So it depends on how you're getting it in. If it's ingested, that's probably the one that takes the longest to get in the system. But now, of course, if you're smoking and inhaling it, that's going to get in a whole lot faster. Okay. Now, and for those THC, that gets in 6 minutes, quick effect, but can last up to 22 hours. And if you're a heavy, repetitive user where you're using it all the time, days and days, after a while, that will reintroduce into the bloodstream every 5 to 95 days. So those users are going to see this effect for weeks to months. It's not just that day of using it. So definitely this chemical is wreaking havoc on a lot of things. So where it can be purchased everywhere. It's all online, and of course now we have it legalized. Of course it's for 21 and up, but we know kids find a way to get what they want to get, even if they're not 21, they're going to find a way to get it, right? So now, of course, now the other one, besides those that are produced that are still kind of in a semi where you can see the natural product, there are also very dangerous synthetic cannabis. That pretty much is really the most dangerous. This is plant derived, but is so altered by substances that's similar to the synthetic THC that they use for medicines. That it is so much stronger than those that are actually more like the plant form. Not found on a typical drug screen. Docs just have to know what they're looking for because they're not going to pick it up when that patient presents to the emergency room. The problem with this one it is most of the time it's marketed as natural and safe. There's nothing natural about it. Okay, it most of the time is contaminated, can be contaminated with heavy metals, with bacteria, with chemicals, and that's where we're getting a lot of our serious problems. There was an issue 2018, 70 people overdosed on a synthetic cannabis that was laced with rat poison. Jeez. So there people don't know what they're getting. There are serious heart effects, blood clotting abnormalities, nerve and psychiatric problems. One person ended up on dialysis, affected their kidneys. We see strokes, seizures, psychosis. There was one actually heart-related death of a young person with this synthetic cannabis. So no, these are not benign things we don't have to worry about. And even in looking at the psychotic possibilities that happen with these THCs, they looked at the brains of people who using the cannabis regularly and found out similar changes in the brain as those that have schizophrenics. And schizophrenics are people who have a condition where they're seeing things and hearing voices that aren't there. So definitely, we're seeing it not just in manifesting in what we see in the people, but we also see it on studies in the brain. So now, of course, the difference between those casual users and those that are just what they call the cannabis use disorder. Cannabis use disorder is somebody that's been using it for at least a year, and if they stop it, they have one thing you would look for is three of these symptoms: irritability, anger, aggression, nervousness, sleeping difficulty, decrease in appetite or weight loss, restlessness, depressed mood, belly pain, shakiness, sweats, fever, chills, headaches. So if that person stops it and they're going through this, yeah, then they have the disorder. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of meds to treat this right now. They're still studying them, but not finding anything that really treats it. It's mostly going to be therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. So, it's a hard thing to deal with, and it's not benign. They found that young people that are using it are, if they use before 17 years old, it decreases their chance of graduating from high school, decrease their chance of completing their degree. And so it's definitely large effects. So now one thing I wanted to mention too, as far as looking to see where some of the new ways that we wanted to talk about too. So traditionally in the past, it was a joint, cigarette paper, roll up the leaves. All right. See a whole lot more different stuff than that now. At Kent, there's what they call blunts, where they hollow out a cigar, put the marijuana in it, and smoke that. Still stronger. The more you keep changing it, and the stronger and stronger this thing gets. And then you have the problem where you have the marijuana and the tobacco together. Now you're getting more dependent. So that person is going to get addicted a lot quicker because now they're also getting the addiction that's associated with tobacco. Then there are those that are basically much more concentrated, where they're getting the oils out, and they're called hashish. They're dabs. Okay. And the dabs, basically, they've concentrated it down by burning it in the oil. And this stuff is 60 to 85% stronger because a lot of them they're either inhaling it, smoking it through e-cigarettes. So that's a good way to cover it up. Oh, yeah, it's an e-cigarette. Well, what's in that e-cigarette? Okay. And some of that, they're actually burning it with oil and inhaling the vapors. Much more stronger. And they're seeing an increase in e-cigarette usage in middle and high school students, and they're seeing a higher use, I say more older 11th grade than 9th. So you want to look for these things. You want to look for the vape pens. Parents may want to be what is that? They have glass vessels that are using to burn this, to inhale it. What is that? So if parents are seeing this in their rooms, now this is not normal. That's something you need to figure. If you see gadgets that, don't look like they're normal, yeah, it's worth checking out. And of course, CBD, there's a lot of edibles. There's there's oils you can rub on your skin. So many different forms that are a lot stronger. So definitely something parents want to be aware of. The thing, protection against it. children that have positive attitudes towards school. Parental monitoring is going to protect against it, and those youth that have a strong disapproval of peers that are doing substance abuse. Those are the ones that are going to be least likely to get that substance abuse disorder. So hopefully I didn't take too long and that you understood me flying through it.
No, you were perfect, and you certainly did not allay any concern. So we definitely need to be on guard as parents, and the fact that we need to probably start having these conversations with our young people much earlier than I think a lot of parents assume. I think you mentioned middle school. A lot of, I'm sure in some communities it starts even earlier. So thank you so much, Dr. Tench. I